Mamba Mentality. What exactly is Mamba Mentality? Where did it come from? I was recently talking with Ali Messam from Adrian Petticourt's office, and this topic came up. And so this one's near and dear to my heart because I love Kobe Bryant. I've been a Lakers fan for many, many years, even before I moved to Los Angeles. And when I moved to LA, Kobe Bryant also moved to LA. So he was a rookie on the Lakers. I was a rookie in business, up in the valley in Los Angeles. And so I felt this weird bond with Kobe Bryant. Like we're both youngsters trying to make it in our vocations. He was very successful in his. Obviously, I pale in comparison to Kobe, but been following his journey. Been to Staples Center for many of those championships. I mean, I've always said one cool thing about Los Angeles. I'll just throw an LA plug in here. You go to Staples Center. You're part of the championship, and you're walking out of Staples Center, and you're high-fiving everybody. You're high-fiving the homeless people. You're high-fiving the billionaires. Just everybody was on an equal playing field as a Lakers fan. I mean, I really developed this weird bond with LA, became a big fan of the city, through really the Lakers runs, which was pretty awesome. And so Kobe coined this Mamba mentality as he grew in his career. And the Mamba mentality basically says this: it's a constant quest to try to be better today than you were yesterday and better tomorrow than you were the day before. So this was Kobe's tagline. This is what he really believed in and bought in. And for anybody that tracked his progress over his 20-year career, he got better, through basketball and post-basketball and writing. I mean, he won an Oscar his first year outside of basketball for his short film, Dear Basketball. So let's dive into Mamba mentality. I mean, how can we embrace Mamba mentality? How can we improve? How can we win the day and continuously level up? I'm throwing lots of sports stuff at you here in this episode. I mean, you may be a Lakers fan, you may not be, you might tune out. Well, here's another sports reference really with the Mamba mentality I want to throw at you. And it's Tom Brady and the Patriots in the Super Bowl when they were going against the Falcons. So if you're a Falcons fan, you're probably tuning out, and so this video is over for you. But you think about it, in the third quarter of that Super Bowl, the Patriots were down 28-3. In fact, their ring, right, their winning championship ring has 283 diamonds in it to commemorate that moment in time. And they came back. But what's interesting, if you study the game and you study the footage of the players talking on the sideline, Brady wasn't talking in the third quarter of, let's get out there and win this game, you guys. The thoughts of winning, I think the team was demoralized. I don't think they were thinking about winning. But Brady was focused on, guys, on the next possession, let's score. Get a field goal, touchdown. I don't care what it is. Let's drive the football. So it's clear just using that comeback, right? The 28-3 comeback where they finally won, 34-28 in overtime. Those little inches can add up to be yards. So again, that Mamba mentality, I mean, if you're just getting slightly better, some people could say, well, what's the big deal? But slight improvement, slight improvement, slight improvement. You keep adding up the inches, and it goes a long way with time. I mean, it's really looking at it like compound interest, right? Warren Buffett talks about this. The three elements of what makes me financially successful are lucky genes, living in America, and compound interest, right? Little bit of improvement over time equals a great net gain. So how do we apply the Mamba mentality in our lives? And so my first thought, right, like I don't think I have to sell anybody on, hey, try to get a little bit better than you were the day before. Try to level up. Okay, you're buying into that, or you wouldn't be watching this video to begin with. But the first thought of, okay, application now, I think the first thing is, what specifically are you trying to improve? Right, like with Kobe, it wasn't the blanket statement of, well, basketball. I want to get better at basketball. I mean, that's not good enough. What part of basketball are we talking about here? And I remember one year, I don't remember when it was, but it was after Kobe won, a couple championships. He hired Hakeem Olajuwon in the offseason to work on his post game. Now, why would Kobe Bryant work on his post game? I mean, he wasn't 7 feet tall. He wasn't a post player. But no, he wanted to get the ball down low and work on that, right? He feeds the ball to the point, he gets the ball back. Now he's got some kind of mismatch down low. What can I do with the basketball? He worked on his footwork. He worked on his shot selection. So he got really specific and nerdy in his craft. So what part of your craft are you trying to improve? It could be something as simple as attitude. I remember there was a time when, I'm just not getting better. It's like months that went by and I'm like stagnant. There's no growth happening. And for the life of me, I didn't know what was wrong until I finally asked my newlywed wife. I'm like, do you see anything different with me? Because I'm asking people at work. I really don't know what to improve on. And she says, well, you seem to have lost just a little bit of pep in your step when you come home. Like you don't have the same, joyful attitude that you did maybe 6 months ago. And I'm like, really? Could that be the answer? Like, I need to work on just being a more positive person. I focused on that and I got the results I was looking for. So be specific. If you say, well, sales, I got to work on my sales. What part of the sales? Is it the attitude in the sales? Is it the smiling in the sales? Is it the close? Is it the words? Is it the voice fluctuation? Just try to get specific. I think when there's intentionality on some nerdy specifics, you will see the growth. So I think really the first thing in the application of the Mamba mentality is let's zero in, let's be tactical here and figure out exactly what it is that we want to work on. Second application thought is what exactly are you filling your head with? What information's coming in? I mean, obviously we want to avoid garbage in, garbage out, right? I don't want to feed myself toxins and things that just aren't going to help me level up. I want to be intentional. There's an old saying of personal growth is never accidental. It's always intentional. So what do you fill in your head with? Just another story, as a newcomer to Los Angeles, coming from Canada, I kind of felt at times like I was a dumb Canadian from a small little town in Canada. How am I going to relate to the Angelinos here in Los Angeles? Now, my wife could make an argument to say, well, Jamie really still is a dumb Canadian. That's time for another episode possibly. But in this particular episode, I'm like, okay, so how did I improve? So I just tuned in to an AM radio, 1070 AM. And every 10 minutes, they gave a snapshot of what was going on. Just a snapshot of what's going on around the world, global. Snapshot of national. Character counts with Michael Josephson. I mean, he was filling my head with all kinds of positive stuff regarding character growth. Love Michael Josephson. Local stuff, what's going on in LA, and what's going on in sports. And every day that I felt like that loaded my gun, like, I can converse with customers, I can converse with recruits, like I kind of know what's going on and I can carry on conversations, but I was very intentional about what I'm tuning into. So where are you getting your news from? Where are you getting your personal growth from? What podcasts are you listening to? I'm such a fan of the phones today. And some people look at it like, these devices they're so destructive. Use it for something productive, not something bad, right? Like my daughter with YouTube, I get her plugged into YouTube. She shows me all these crafts that she makes, and she uses YouTube for, constructive purposes, not entertainment and just being a zombie. She's using it for something constructive. So use your phone, use your podcast, use your tools around you for growth. So again, what do you fill in your head with? Be very intentional about it. And my final thought for application for the Mamba mentality is look for feedback. Do others around me see the improvement? I mean, the blind spots, right? We never know if we have a burned out rear tail light in our car. The way we find out is a police officer pulls us over and writes us up a fix-it ticket, right? But ideally, you want your neighbor to say, hey, by the way, Jamie, saw you pulling in the garage. You got a burned out taillight. So, I want feedback. I mean, just this morning, I got this email from Gary. I want to read this. Gary Polson, right? He's given 1 million speeches or some astronomical number. He's always on point in his speeches. So he just gave a speech last week at a conference we were at. He says, hey, Jamie, I need very candid feedback on my breakout for Top Gun. I'll spare you the rest of the email, but he was looking for criticism. He was looking for specific information and feedback. And so I gave him my feedback. I just always, I think of Ken Blanchard's quote regarding feedback. He says, feedback is the fuel of champions. Like, champions are always looking for feedback. They always want to hear what they can improve on. Their ego is kind of checked aside. They don't need others to inflate their self-esteem. Listen, I don't need pats on the back. What I'm looking for is feedback. The feedback could be a pat on the back. The feedback could also be criticism, but I'm seeking information. I'm seeking feedback. So I think that's the other element. Again, Kobe with the Keem Olajuwon, somebody must have pointed out there was some room for improvement in his post game when he got the ball down low. He must have been watching the video. He must have been watching it with somebody else, but look for that feedback. Constant feedback is key. So those are my thoughts on Mamba mentality and how to really apply it in our lives. It's 2024. It's the year of the Mamba. Let's make it an awesome year.